Good evening, hello and welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Anusha Soni. The controversy around the contested historical legacy of Vinayak Damodar Savarkar is not new for our political discourse. While the RSS and the BJP have hailed him as an icon of freedom struggle, Congress has repeatedly cited his apology letters to question his contribution, his stature and legacy. Today, the BJP government in the state of Karnataka put up 6 portraits in the state assembly, and one of them was of Savarkar. Once again, the controversy escalated with the Congress questioning the move. But beyond the usual political slugfest of the Congress and the BJP, the legacy of Savarkar gains more importance at a time when the state is inching closer to elections. The discourse, controversy and discussion around Savarkar is bound to resonate ahead of elections. How critical is his legacy and his figure in contemporary Karnataka politics, and of course ramifications for national politics? What will be the implications? Our top focus on Viewpoint tonight.
Hindutva icon V D Savarkar's portrait being unveiled on the opening day of the winter session of the Karnataka Assembly in Belagavi. The move triggered massive protests by the Congress, led by Leader of Opposition Siddaramaiah. He and other Congress MLAs questioned the need to feature Savarkar inside the Karnataka Assembly and held up pictures of Jawaharlal Nehru during their protest on the steps of the Assembly building.
It is not a protest, it is our demand to put portraits of national leaders and also social reformists. We brought this photo because we are going to raise a lot of corruption issues on them.
While Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai tried to diffuse tensions.
As far as what is happening, Vidhan Sabha ಒಳಗಡೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಸ್ಪೀಕರು ಮತ್ತು ಲೆಜಿಸ್ಲೇಚರ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರುವಂತದ್ದು. ನಾನು ಇನ್ನ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಭೇಟಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ.
Other BJP leaders questioned the objection to Savarkar.
क्यों बवाल कर रहे? पार्लियामेंट सेंट्रल हॉल में सावरकर जी का फोटो है या नहीं है? स्वतंत्र वीर सावरकर के डालने से आपको दुख होगा. किसका डालना है? सिद्धरामैया को पूछो, ये दाऊद इब्राहिम का डालना है क्या?
V D Savarkar has been one of the most divisive figures in Indian history. But he did have a connection with Belagavi, which is currently being claimed by both the governments of Maharashtra and Karnataka. Savarkar was kept under preventive detention in the Hindalga Central Prison in Belagavi for 4 months in 1950. The arrest order was issued in Mumbai and Savarkar was arrested as he arrived in Belagavi. In fact, this is just the latest flashpoint in a series of controversies over Savarkar in Karnataka ahead of next year's assembly elections. BJP launched a statewide campaign to raise awareness about Savarkar. His posters were also splashed across Maidans during Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations in the state. So is this about rightful recognition for Savarkar or simply a bit to polarize before elections?
Well, a polarizing bid or an attempt to honor a historical figure who has not got his due. Joining us on the broadcast is our full panel. We expect Prashant GS from the BJP to join us in just a few minutes from now. Nagaraj Yadav, who's a Congress spokesperson, is with us on the broadcast. Mr. Ravi Srivastav, who's a political analyst, and Mr. Ratan Sharda, who's an RSS researcher and author. Mr. Yadav, I'm coming to you first. 1970, Mrs. Indira Gandhi released a postage stamp to commemorate Veer Savarkar's 87th birth anniversary. If you have an objection to Savarkar, how do we understand what Mrs. Gandhi did?
No, it's not a question of objection. Today, basically, I am also one of the legislators. I was there in the entire episode, what has happened in the morning.
Yeah.
It is not the question of opposing Savarkar or somebody's photograph placing it in the assembly hall. It is not that was the issue. The basic idea is this. The entire assembly hall belongs to the state of Karnataka and to its representatives of various political parties. And they such be discussed with everybody. A consensus should be brought in this matter. They cannot take a unilateral decision. And the Chief Minister is saying that I am not aware what's happening inside the assembly hall, he says. Is this away? And they also have not extended an invitation to the opposition leader. They have not invited D K Shivakumar. They have not invited Siddaramaiah Sahab. They have not invited any.
So, sir, just to be clear. So, had the BJP government discussed it with you or taken you into confidence, then you would have been fine with the Savarkar poster being put up. Is that what you're saying?
Let me come to the picture.
Yeah.
See, for example, when Mahatma Gandhi's picture is put, definitely a unilateral decision can be taken because he is the father of the nation. When Ambedkar's situation is taken, a unilateral decision can be taken because
Okay.
these are the personalities which are being accepted, well accepted to people. But Savarkar is the matter is yet been very well
But sir,
discussed because
I totally
BJP is
understand that
using
point.
him
No,
for
no,
his
sir, I
agenda.
totally understand that point, and that is why I asked you a very pointed question. If if historical legacy and stature of Mr. Savarkar, Veer Savarkar as the BJP calls him, and Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, his entire contribution to freedom struggle is so debated, why was he honoured by none other than India's Prime Minister, then Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi? That was my question to you, sir.
Even today, I'll tell you, Savarkar also is born in this land. He is also son of this soil. We have no differences that. The agenda and ideology, what BJP is projecting and using it for the sake of vote gain in the name of Hindutva,
You've not
which is
answered my
dividing the society and unlawful activities happening because of this Hindu versus Muslim. This is the attitude of BJP just to deviate the things.
Sir,
This is
what I'm trying to do here is have a smart and a focused debate, and that is why I asked you a very pointed question, that if you had ideological problems with Vinayak Damodar Savarkar and his legacy, then why did you join hands with Shiv Sena? Why did you have in 1970 Mrs. Indira Gandhi releasing a stamp commemorating his 87th birth anniversary? All of these developments should have not happened. I want to bring in BJP also into the discussion. Prasant GS is with us on the broadcast. Prasant, is this an attempt to polarize the narrative ahead of the elections? The argument that the Congress party is making is that because the government has not delivered on the ground, because there are real issues that you've not addressed as a government of the day, you're trying to create these, false equivalences or historical narratives just to dissuade people, just to divert attention from the real core issues, quote unquote. Respond to that criticism.
See, firstly, understand the mindset of the Congress. On the one hand, they want to take away the legacy of the freedom fighter Veer Savarkar by resorting to petty politics. And as you rightly pointed out, Indira Gandhi brought out a stamp in 1970 saying that in commemoration of his services to the nation. In 1980, there's a letter on record by Indira Gandhi saying that they will celebrate. I can also show it on the channel. In 1980, 20th May 1980, she had written it saying that Veer Savarkar's daring defense of British government has its own importance place in the annals of our freedom movement. I wish success to the plan to celebrate the birth centenary of the remarkable son of India. This only signifies that Savarkar was recognized as a freedom fighter even by the Congress. And Savarkar's portrait was unveiled in the central hall of the parliament.
And then the Congress party had protested. But the Congress party had protested. They had staged a walkout.
Congress parties in the habit of protesting for anything to do with nation building and somebody who stands up for the nation. And they always are against it. They are wanting to join forces with the Showdown forces or Tukde gang to ensure that
you are free as a politician to use these buzzwords and to reach out to the audience and to the people at large. My question to you as a journalist is something very different. The Congress party is saying because you have not delivered on the core issues, and this is the principal opposition party in the state of Karnataka, because you have not delivered on the core issues, that is why you're bringing in these historical narrative to divert the attention of people. Respond to that, sir. Has the government delivered on the core issues?
Both the government at the center and at the state are development oriented, and development is the mantra of both our double engine governments. And be that as it may, the portrait of only Savarkar was not unveiled today. It was Vivekananda, Basavaraj, Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhi were also there, and Veer Savarkar's portrait also finds a place there. So why is Congress trying to polarize? Congress doesn't want to bring in real issues. They only want to find a way to protest and take the forward, and they're always for the family politics, and their grouse was that you heard one of this.
Before I bring in Mr. Sumant C. Raman and Mr. Ratan Sharda, my one final question to Mr. Nagaraj Yadav. Mr. Yadav, let's take your argument for the sake of argument on the face value that this is a BJP's attempt to divert attention, quote unquote. But then, are you also conceding to the failure of the Congress party to set the narrative? If you think that there are real issues on the ground in the state of Karnataka on which the BJP has not delivered, has the Congress party been able to set that political narrative in the state? Please respond to that.
100% we have set a narrative today. We wanted to expose, we will definitely expose in the coming days also. From tomorrow onwards, they are being paid 40% commission issue or irrigation issues or border issues, law and order issues or sugarcane price issue or overall development issues. They completely failed in all fronts. Well, that's the reason they are trying to set a narrative of getting Hindutva versus Congress. This is not the way. Congress doesn't want to bring Hindutva or any other kind of things, religious politics into the arena. We want a secular fabric of this country to be strengthened. We want elections to be held on the basis of development. Either they they kept up their words of development or not. These, by trying to say double engines, government is doing this.
Let's see, sir. You're right in pointing that out, that the electorate, the people of the state of Karnataka will decide in the times to come. Mr. Ratan Sharda, I'm coming to you. This entire opposition by the Congress party is not new. It happened back in 2003 as well, when, in the central hall of the parliament, a portrait of Vinayak Damodar Savarkar was unveiled by then government. But when it comes to the historical legacy of Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, how do we understand the flip-flop by the Congress? In 1970, you had Mrs. Gandhi honoring him. There have been certain occasions on which certain Congress leaders have spoken about him. In fact, I always ask this question that the Congress party joined hands with Shiv Sena in the state of Maharashtra when they had to form the government. So is this some kind of ideological opposition or mere political gimmick? Mr. Sharda, I'm not able to hear you. You'll have to unmute yourself. All right. I think we've lost that connection. We'll try and reach to Mr. Ratan Sharda in just a bit. We'll fix that line. I want to cut across to Mr. Suman Siram. To Ravi Srivastav is also with us on the broadcast. I want to go to Ravi Srivastav. Ravi Srivastav, how do you see the kind of defense that has come in from the BJP? Their argument is that, look, this is a historical figure that we have consistently respected. This is a historical figure that we have consistently revered and spoken about his contributions. It was but expected that they would give him that kind of honor in the Vidhan Sabha as well.
Anusha, Bhajapa is using Karnataka as a Hindutva laboratory. You can find a number of issues. See, where all Ajan started, where all Hijab started, where all Halal started, all these things you have all emanated from Karnataka, because they are just testing waters for the forthcoming elections. They had made the government from a back door. They had bought the MLAs of the Congress and made the government some 2 years before. And now they are trying to take over again the government. You can see yourself, the 40% contractor commission issue, the PSI scam issue. One day on 29th of September, entire Bangalore was underwater. It was literally submerged. That is the kind of development these people have done. And they want to divert the attention from that. They are bringing a Savarkar issue. We call that, somebody called it a Maafi Veer Savarkar. He was not a Veer Savarkar, the Maafi Veer Savarkar, because he had been writing letters of apology, number of letters of apology to the Britishers. And he has got a blemish of that his follower Nathuram Godse assassinated Mahatma Gandhi. Yeah. And there was a case against him. Although he was given a clean sheet later, but the fact remains that Nathuram Godse was his follower. His Hindutva laboratory, the two-nation theory of Jinnah, all these were the brainchild of Mr. Savarkar only.
I think so that's, Mr. Srivastav, I'm not an expert in the 19th or the 20th century history, but as a student of Indian politics, all I can say is that's a lot of half-baked information. Mr. Ratan Sharda, I don't know if you heard Mr. Ravi Srivastav, but the narrative around Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, his legacy or the apology letters he wrote, or how Nathuram Godse was his follower, that's what Mr. Ravi Srivastav is arguing. He also propagated the two-nation theory. All these historical ills have been attributed to this historical figure.
Anusha, for last entire year, there have been every 1 or 2 months, there is a debate where Congress brings up Savarkar, and we have gone through these arguments nth number of times. They have been killed to death, these arguments. We know that what kind of, apology letter was sent even by Nehru's father for his son. We know the same kind of words were used by Gandhiji or British that Savarkar used, and all those issues. I'm not even getting to that. My issue is why the opposition to Savarkar has suddenly peaked during this year. Why is it so? Is it because he is a Hindutva icon? That is point one. And secondly, whether it is the problem with the new generation of JNU gangs that has surrounded Rahul Gandhi because he doesn't have his own thought. Now coming to Indira Gandhi, I'll go a generation back. What did Nehru say? Nehru in 1942 says, when he met Savarkar met Sir Stafford Cripps in his National Herald paper, he says, profoundly as we disagree with his politics, this is pluralism in true sense. Savarkar showed the old fire in him when he took up the thoughtless challenge thrown to Hindu Mahasabha by the government of Bihar, obtaining a resounding victory at Bhagalpur. With Sir Stafford Cripps, he crossed swords, which the former will never forget. This is Mr. Nehru, not even Indira Gandhi. So why this turnaround? This government has a certain issue with the freedom struggle because the new government since 2014, in the 75th year, has been introducing the unknown streams of freedom struggle, which take away the credit from the so-called Congress monopoly on freedom struggle. They talk about INA, they talk about Subhash Chandra Bose, they talk about tribal leaders. Did you ever hear that 1300 tribals were killed in Mangarh 100 years back? We never heard about that. Did you hear of Birsa Munda? We did not. Did you hear of V.H. Chidambaram? We did not. We did not. Did we hear of Subramanian Bharati? No. So this entire way of looking at history in a very partial manner, when all others are discredited, do you know, Mr. said, just last moment. Please. Mr. clearly said that Quit India movement is not what shook British. It was the INA trial which went very unpopular. It was naval mutiny in 1946, which went very, very viral because of it. British feared staying anymore, and they said, let us leave India. And there are full-fledged book by Mr. Day, which is available if you want, which tells you entire British documents, not Indian. So try to claim entire credit is that the base issue of this particular Congress party, and they think they know more about Nehru.
Anusha, can I respond?
I'll just come to you, Mr. Srivastava. I'll come to you, Mr. Sharda. There was one more point that was raised, that in the state of Karnataka, from a hijab to a halal to this entire controversy around Savarkar, this is some kind of Hindutva laboratory, quote unquote, at work.
Who brought in Tipu Sultan Jayanti? Before last election, Tipu Sultan Jayanti were brought in by Congress party, right?
Yeah.
So who raised the heckles? Congress party. Who tried to stop the raising of flag in the Eidgah Maidan in Bangalore and 10 people. So this kind of opposition and introducing Tipu Sultan in the particular narrative was the polarization game of the Congress.
Mr. Ravi Srivastava, a quick comment from you, and then I want to go back to the political guests.
See, I just want to say, I rightly said the word is a Hindutva laboratory because they want to polarize the population of Karnataka.
So, okay, no. My counter question to you, sir. My counter question. No, Mr. Srivastava. There's a fair point that Mr. Ratan Sharda made, that who started Tipu Sultan Jayanti, celebrations. If that was not polarizing, then why is it polarizing when you put a portrait of Savarkar? Both are contested legacies.
Why those things were being celebrated for more than 100 years in Karnataka? No other knew why they were sleeping. They woke up now only. Because they want to appreciate the climate of Karnataka.
I'll come to you.
It was there earlier also.
All right, Mr. Ravi Srivastava, you made your point. Mr. Ratan Sharda, quick rebuttal. Mr. Ravi Srivastava, listen to the response.
Historical wrongs have to be corrected.
One second, one at a time, Mr. Sharda, and then I'll come to you. Yes, Mr.
Kodwa people, Malekot Brahmins do not celebrate Diwali even today. Christians hate Tipu Sultan because had them crushed under elephant legs because they didn't convert. So to call him a hero, it happened when one particular gentleman wrote a book on this Tipu Sultan. Till that was never considered as Tiger of Mysore. Please be very clear that he was never considered till a book was written, which has a fictitious account of Tipu Sultan, and we know what kind of atrocities he committed. So to say, when most of the population hated him, including Christians,
Anusha, this is typical Islamophobia.
All right, I don't think this is Islamophobia. I don't think no. Nobody on this panel has made a comment about Islam. I want to make that very, very clear. This is an informed historical debate which is happening in the context of history, how different versions are there. To label it as some kind of Islamophobia or somebody speaking ill of the entire religion, that's wrong. And I take exception to that. I'm going back to Ms. Prashant GS and Nagaraju Yadav ji. Mr. Yadav, I'm coming to you. The manner in which history has been written and interpreted is selective. There is a manner in which history has been taught and perpetuated under the reign of the Congress party, which unduly gives the benefit of some kind of credit to the Congress party and also sidelines the alternate discourses and various other, variations that existed in the Indian freedom struggle. Because they are now coming to the fore, the Congress party is uncomfortable. That's what the BJP and RSS are saying. Respond to that.
No. Congress is not uncomfortable because of this. Because they're using the entire episode only to polarize and to make this as a Hindu country. This is the hidden agenda of RSS. Why are they not coming openly and saying these things? Let them. If there is a problem with the history, has been the way it's presented. Let them put it for a debate. Let the people discuss about it. Let the scholars come out with a perfect historical background. Why these politicians, they want to use Savarkar only at the time of election? If they have respect for Savarkar, they could have brought it to the BAC, Business Accounts Business Administration Council in the Assembly. They could have discussed there. They don't have any manner. The speaker doesn't have any attitude to discuss with the opposition leaders or with the chief minister.
Prashant, is the legacy of Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, or the entire controversy around him? Why is it rigged up only closer to elections? If you really want to honor his legacy, give him his due, have an informed discussion, have it on the floor of the House. Why is the BJP shying away from that?
The BJP has always honored him, and there is no shying away from the fact that he was a patriot and son of the soil. And to say that he was the one who propagated the two-nation theory, Savarkar was born in 1883, but in 1876, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was the first one who propagated the two-nation theory. To put it to rest that Savarkar was not the one who said two-nation theory. And also, Victor Weiswell, when he wanted to divide the Hindus and the Muslims on religious lines, he wanted to give 5 seats to caste Hindus and 5 seats to Muslims. Both the Congress then and the Hindus and the Muslims also rejected it because they felt that the British were trying to divide us. So therefore, at one point in time, it was definitely a struggle for freedom. Congress is trying to appropriate these people to say they were not freedom fighters, and for them it starts with Nehru and probably ends with Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi. They really have no sense of history in the sense. And also going back, Mahatma Gandhi also met Savarkar in 1934 in Ratnagiri when he was confined there, and they had very intellectual discussions. So it's now easy to say for the Congress to say that Savarkar wrote some letters of apology.
Mr. Yadav, anybody who has read a little bit about India's freedom struggle and how various men and women came together for India's freedom struggle, they would know that it was a complicated and a diverse set of people who were working together for one common cause. History is not simple. You look at Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, you look at Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, they were very different ideologies, but both of them had the same goal of a free, independent India at one point in time in history. Is this also the black and white picture that the Congress wants to present, that just because he wrote some letters, he becomes in some sense a traitor or an anti-national or somebody who did not respect the freedom struggle? Isn't that a wrong and a distorted view of history which you're presenting to people? Because as many people have pointed out on the panel, even Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, various leaders of the Congress party engaged with Vinayak Damodar Savarkar during his lifetime and while he was incarcerated. Mr. Yadav. All right. I think there's a problem. Mr. Yadav, can you hear me? Am I audible to you?
Yeah. See, the basic idea is this. I want to know all the people who are talking about so good about Savarkar. Okay, let it be for a minute. What was the relationship of Godse and Savarkar in this country? Let them tell. Let them come out and tell.
Yadav,
do you accept that?
I'll let you answer that. I'll let you answer that. Let him make his point.
Who killed Mahatma Gandhi? Do you agree with that? What was the connection Savarkar had with Godse? Tell me, let me see.
All right. First, I want a reaction from you, and then I'll go to Mr. Ratan Sharda. Yes, Prashant, please go ahead.
Nagaraj Yadav, please read the 1969 Kanpur Commission Law Report, which also talks about this particular aspect, what you're saying. And police had constant vigil on Savarkar during that last 10 days in January. So there is no chance that the testimonies which were given against him are definitely false, to say that they only were trying to implicate Savarkar in a case and subsequently was let off. You please refer to the 1969 Kanpur Law Commission report.
All right. Mr. Ratan Sharda,
so it is only to say that it is now you're
Mr. Yadav, I'll let you speak. I'll let you make your argument. Now listen to the rebuttal. I'll come back to you. Prashant,
you're now trying to make out an issue or out of nothing to say that Savarkar had links with Godse. knowing people at that point in time during the freedom struggle, different people would have crossed paths during the freedom struggle. Therefore, it is completely wrong to say. It is completely wrong to say that Savarkar was involved
on this point of whether there existed any kind of relationship between Godse and Savarkar and the conspiracy to kill Mahatma Gandhi. Mr. Ratan Sharda, would you like to make a point?
Just want to make a small point. Who was Jinnah? Jinnah was member of Congress party. And he left Congress party after 1921, I think, or sometime earlier or later. He was a Congress member. So are you going to say that Jinnah, Congress party is responsible for the partition, for direct action, and also supporting Mopla violence in the name of religious tolerance? Are you going to admit that? Because people change their parties, their views. To say that Godse Savarkar ka relation tha, Jinnah or Gandhi ka kya relation tha? Was Jinnah not part of Congress? So he created Pakistan. Are you going to say Congress created Pakistan? No, then you run away.
So why the question is being started?
Mr. Srivastava, I'll come to you. Mr. Srivastava, I'll come to you.
What was the reaction of Gandhiji and what was the reaction of Nehruji? There was no reaction. They were silent. They said what they are doing.
Mr. Yadav, if you speak over him, I can't hear you. And I don't think anybody can understand you. Mr. Yadav, let Mr. Ratan Sharda finish his point. I'll give you the time to respond. Mr. Sharda.
I just said, I made one point about Jinnah and Gandhiji and Nehru's relation as a Congress member. So Congress is responsible for partition of India and killing of millions of people in the name of partition. Secondly, in Mopla violence, Gandhiji's stand was what? He said, poor Muslims are just following their religion and you should bear with the violence. Not exact words, similar to that. And Nehruji did not speak till Moplas were mercilessly arrested and killed by British. Moplas did not utter a word against British. They were only against Hindus, against Gandhi and everybody. So to today claim, higher standing doesn't make any sense, sir, because you have to look at
oversimplistic projection of historical reality. Ravi Srivastava, make your point and then I'll go to Mr. Yadav.
This is very simple, some kind of narrative which was being created. In 1963, RSS was invited to the Republic Day parade. Those kind of explanations. The question is very straight. That Godse was a follower of Mr. Savarkar, who killed Mahatma Gandhi, who assassinated him, and the case was run. Though Mr. Savarkar was absolved, he was given a clean sheet. It's a different story. But he was accused of it that his follower only killed Mahatma Gandhi.
But the fact that he was absolved is not important. How can they cherry pick history like that?
See,
I mean, the fact that he was absolved.
You cannot have a court. You cannot have a court, expulsion on the court.
Pressure on the court.
All right, we've lost that connection. Mr. Yadav, you have a few points to respond.
I will respond to one point what he made. I want to respond to what Rahul Srivastava made. He's saying that there was pressure on the court. How can I think Congress has got selective dementia. When the courts acquit somebody, they're saying there was pressure on the court, and when somebody is convicted, they say the courts were right. And
Mr. Yadav, does the Congress Party have some kind of selective dementia? Because if he was acquitted, then this entire theory about him being involved in some kind of conspiracy should be put aside. He was absolved. The court gave him a clean sheet. Mr. Yadav.
Give me 5 seconds. I'm saying Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Mr. Nagaraj Yadav, your Congress leader, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, in 2019, this is a press trust of India report. He says that Vinayak Damodar Savarkar is an accomplished man, played part in freedom struggle, fought for upliftment of Dalits.
Why to quote Mr. Singhvi? Not that he's not a man of stature, but you have Indira Gandhi and various other people, including Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. I want to go to Mr. Yadav. I have last 1 minute. Mr. Yadav, a response from the Congress Party, please. Mr. Yadav, please go ahead.
See, I don't want to get into all this thing. The basic thing that as in the beginning we discussed, Indira Gandhi had appreciated Savarkar. Indira Gandhi had released a stamp. Indira Gandhi's period, we had the statue, portrait of Savarkar in the parliament. Even today, what we are trying to tell that was, we are not coming here only to oppose things. We are asking very, very, very frankly, let us follow the rules and regulations of the Constitution of India by having a consensus in a democracy, which they don't want to follow the rules of this nation.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but with all humility, I don't think there is a convention for any kind of discussion. Is there a convention? Because even earlier, the Congress Party has put up posters or pictures.
No. That is an issue. If there is a person who's having no controversy in the country and history, then it's fair enough. When there is a controversy, then the difference of opinion is there. It is the duty of the speaker to bring people together and make them understand why
I'm
he
short of
wants to
time.
put it in the Assembly Hall.
Prasanth
create
GS,
controversy.
Mr. Nagaraju Yadav, Ratan Sharda and Ravi Srivastava. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the broadcast. I'm afraid this is not the last time we are debating on the legacy of Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, a figure, a historical figure, a freedom fighter who's celebrated by the BJP and the RSS. The Congress party continues to question. And in the run-up to the Karnataka elections, his figure, his legacy is going to be a very, very important facet